All right, you're welcome back to the program Issues in the News. We will be focusing on the climate now. The world is experiencing all kinds of weather challenges, from Nigeria to India to America and, of course, the European countries, all experiencing heat waves, floods in some cases, extreme cold weathers, and all kinds of circumstances. Joining us to discuss this are two young individuals who will be discussing the importance of climate on the environment. These individuals are, of course, looking to champion the cause for Nigeria and, of course, the world's emergence to a more sustainable environment, and, of course, how each sustainable developmental goal can be achieved through the role of climate change. We do know that there is a bit of a handshake between both parties. Joining us to discuss this is Damilola Balogun, who is the CEO, Youth Sustainable Development Network. Thank you for joining us on the program, Dami.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson, for having me.
Okay, you're a friend of ours, Dami, so it's always a pleasure to have you. Ayomikun Kukoyi is also standing by with us. Thank you for joining us, Ayo.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, for having me.
Okay, right. We have a bit about 11 minutes there about to quickly wrap this up. So tell us, what exactly is going on around the world? Why are we seeing floods? Why are we seeing cold in Nigeria? Why are European countries seeing heat waves? What exactly is going on? Dami, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much again. I think it's very clear. 99.9% of the science behind the effect of climate change states that if we don't stop global warming, we would see more of climate change impact. And so to basically emphasize more of this, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change around, was it April? Yes, dropped its latest report on how the effect of climate change and global warming is really impacting the world. So what it is really is that a lot of these things that we are doing are very much unsustainable. And so right from our own space, we should, of course, learn proper waste management, which is a pressing issue as far as Nigeria is concerned, as well as other things revolving around planting of trees, afforestation, and then stopping the cutting down of trees. And so all of these things results as the effect of our attitude towards our environment. So it's just basically telling us that at some point we need to cut down a lot of the ways that we are interacting with the environment, and we need to do and think in a sustainable way. Thank you.
Okay, Ayo, we've seen flood in Nigeria, and that appears to be our major challenge. That shouldn't be a climate change issue, but it is in some regard. What are we needing to do to address this issue? What do we need to do to address this issue?
I would say most, from at least from my own knowledge of what is happening in Lagos State, for instance, in regards to flooding, it's more of a man-made problem than it is really of the climate itself, like the environment itself. We have a culture in Nigeria and in Lagos State of littering gutters, of using plastics. Our culture basically is one that is not considerate of the environment. So looking at all these things that are man-made, they contribute to when rain falls and you have gutters that are blocked, it's inadvertently means that there is no free way of water to flow, and thereby it gives what we have come to know in Lagos State as flooding. And then also the aspects of poor management of land spacing. We have the state governments, especially in Lagos State, making buildings on water, on areas that ideally, if a sustainable plan was made, buildings shouldn't be going onto some of these areas. But because there is no sustainability plan, or there is no there's no sustainable mindset behind most of these decisions that the government makes. They do not foresee this particular impact that their activities would have on the environment. So it's basically a mix between man-made issues and generally the climate as well.
This is just one part of the Sustainable Development Goals. I know that you guys have been championing a call for an improvement on that in Nigeria. What exactly do you think we need to do to wrap up on this conversation now to address those issues in the SDGs? There's 17 of them. Climate change is one of them. So what else do we need to begin to do as a nation? Dami, go ahead.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for that question. So for us at the Youth Sustainable Development Network, in our recent conference that we just finished concluded, like we emphasize the role of local action. We need to position young people who are the major that hold the major percentage as far as the African and the Nigerian population is concerned. So how do we position them to begin to take action? How do we intend to position them to take action in terms of adaptation, mitigation, loss and damage, and as well as providing climate finance for their initiative to address some of these issues? Because most times youth are naturally positioned in these areas such that they are able to drive down innovation because they know exactly how their society is being and how it has been. So they are able to solve these problems directly. Finally, from the government and the policy aspect, it is crucial to put climate change at the heart of other national developmental issues. So in terms of agriculture, how do we put in climate change into the framework to ensure that as we're solving the problem of food insecurity, as we're solving the problem of unemployment, as we're solving the problem of no poverty, we are also addressing the problem of climate change. So at the end of the day, we would not only be achieving they will not only be addressing the problem of climate change, we will also be promoting the advancement of the 17 SDGs, as you've said. Essentially, again, youth need to take local action. They need to be positioned to take action in terms of adaptation and mitigation, as well as climate finance and loss and damage. For government and policy, it is important that we put in climate change at the heart of other national developmental issues, such that it also drives national development, and we're also addressing the issue of climate change as far as Nigeria is concerned.
Ayo, let's get your thoughts too. We are going to wrap up this conversation now with your thoughts. What do we need to do as a nation to address the climate change issues, apart from what Dami has mentioned? Well, SDG issues, right? Not
aside from issue of government policies and whatnot, we have to start looking at the educational aspect of climate change. So we need to start going to our schools and start intricating climate change and even the SDGs as a whole into the curriculum of our students, starting from secondary schools, even up until the university levels. Because one thing that we found is the problem of the advancement of the SDGs is the lack of awareness and the lack of knowledge of most people concerning it. So once that is solved, a bit of the problem is also solved with that. Then aside from that, Nigeria specifically is a country that is so dependent on a streamlined source of energy and a streamlined source of basically its reliance on petroleum is to its detriment, and it's also to the detriment of the world. So we need to start shifting our mindsets to start thinking towards other innovative solutions, such as renewable energy, such as looking at the natural resources that we have, and then harnessing those natural resources, and then making out of them renewable energy sources that would in turn not just be beneficial to the environment, but even also give the country much more power supply, even more income coming into the country's pocket, and so many things.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, there will be an improvement in jobs creation when we begin to diversify and look for more sustainable ways of generating energy. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Damilola, who is a good friend of the house, we appreciate you for spending time to discuss climate change and, of course, social development, sustainable developmental goals that must be achieved by Nigeria and the rest of the world. Damilola Balogun is the CEO, Youth Sustainable Development Network, and Ayomikun Kukoyi is a climate change activist as well, a member of also the Youth Sustainable Development Network. Thank you so much for being a part of the program.